Wonderful. We'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we've got a good group coming in. Thank you all for joining today. My name is Cheryl Saturnino, and I am a program officer and lead for the Individual Artist Awards here at Rasmuson Foundation. I'm joined by my colleagues Mara Wharton and Emily Cho, as well as our contract staff and Zena Marari and Karen Lowell. We acknowledge the traditional homeland of the Dena'ina people here in Anchorage, where the Rasmussen Foundation is based. Some general housekeeping for this session. We kindly ask that you keep your mics muted as we will be recording the session and posting it later on our website. And we will address some frequently asked questions later on in the presentation, but if you do have a question that hasn't been answered, feel free to post it in the chat and someone from our team will follow up with you. And we also suggest booking office hours if you have specific questions or need more assistance. Today's agenda will consist of two parts. The first half will be a general overview of the Individual Artist Awards, and in the second half, we'll show you how to apply by completing a sample application. You're more than welcome to stay for the entire presentation or stay on for just the parts that you need. All right, so you may or may not be familiar with the Rasmussen Foundation, so I'll give a bit of history. Oops. We are a family foundation that was established in 1955 by Jenny Rasmussen in honor of her late husband, Edward Anton, or EA. They met as missionaries and teachers in the Tlingit village of Yakutat in 1904 and had 3 children. One of their sons, Elmer, led what would become the National Bank of Alaska. He was committed to giving back to the community, to Alaska, and to the people that had given him so much. Elmer and his wife, Mary Louise, left most of their estate to the foundation, an estimated $440 million in total on top of earlier gifts. Rasmussen has since transformed from a small family foundation to Alaska's top private funder in various areas, including healthcare, housing, and arts and culture. So what is IAA? So at its essence, the Individual Artist Awards, or as more commonly known as IAA, provides support to an artist's development and practice. Since its launch in 2004, the program has become a powerful force in the arts community, awarding over 650 grants to artists across 54 communities in the state. The awards have 3 categories. The first is the Project Award. These awards are intended for short-term, one-year projects that have a clear benefit to an artist and their creative development. All career stages are eligible to apply. This year, we will grant up to 50 awards at $10,000 each. In the application, we will ask for a project budget, which can include line items for artist fees, supplies and materials, marketing, travel equipment, space and studio rental, etc. Some examples of past awards have included supporting the purchase of musical instruments, equipment, and studio rental to support album production, travel to Southeast Alaska to attend a cultural weaving workshop, and support to create a photograph series to exhibit at a local art gallery. The second category is the Fellowship Award, which will be open for applications next year. These awards are intended as flexible funds for artists to advance their creative practice within 1 year. This is open to mid-career and mature artists, and we will grant up to 20 awards at $25,000 each. Here we have Catherine Rousseau, who is a textile artist and a 2023 fellowship recipient. Her fellowship supported travel to Spain and Greece, where she connected with her ancestral heritage and culminated with an art residence at the Mud House Residency in Crete, Greece. The third category is the Distinguished Artist Award, which is nomination-based only. This is a single $50,000 recognition award for mature, established artists to honor their creative excellence and significant artistic accomplishments to our state. Nominations for the Distinguished Artist Award opened this past February, and we plan to announce the recipient later this year. Pictured here is Anna Brown Ellers from Southeast Alaska, and she is a 2023 recipient of the Distinguished Artist Award. In her over 30-year career, she has created chill-cap blankets for her community's ceremonial and cultural use. She was also a recipient of the Fellowship Award in 2009. All right. And as some of you know, I took a pause last year, so there are a couple program changes. Our team took the time to intentionally evaluate the program and determine a plan for future years. Some of the most significant changes include the project and fellowship awards will open on alternate years, starting with a project award this year instead of running concurrently as it has in past years. We've also doubled the quantity of awards given annually. We will now award up to 50 awards for a project award of $10,000 each and up to 20 fellowship awards of $25,000. The Distinguished Artist Award will continue to be offered annually, awarded to a single recipient at $50,000. Okay, I'll now go into a bit more detail about the competitive grants, starting with the disciplines. There are 10 primary artistic disciplines that an applicant can choose from, including crafts, dance and choreography, folk and traditional arts, literary arts, script works, media arts, multidiscipline, music and music composition, performance and theater, production arts, and visual arts. If applicable, you may also choose from a list of secondary disciplines to distinguish your primary discipline from your secondary creative practice. The list of disciplines can be found in the guidelines on our website. I will also highlight that we added 2 new disciplines this year, performance and theater and production arts, the latter of which includes sound design, costume design, etc. And I'll also note that 2 other disciplines from past years, new genre and presentation interpretation, have been woven into the subdisciplines this year. Eligibility. All right. So these are the base eligibility requirements to apply for an IAA award. The first being Alaska residency. These awards are intended for Alaska residents, so as such, the applicant, including any group members, if applying as a group, must be an Alaska resident and have lived full-time in the state for the previous 2 years. They must also be living in the state at the time of application. If you are awarded, you must maintain residency in Alaska for the duration of the grant period, and we will also ask you to submit proof of residency before any funds are dispersed. The second eligibility criteria is the applicant must be at least 18 years of age or older at the time of application. The third is the applicant must currently be producing artist-driven work, meaning that you have primary creative control and the project idea originates from you and not a client or employer. The fourth is the applicant must identify a career stage, whether that's emerging, mid-career, or mature. And some ineligibility rules. An applicant cannot be enrolled in an art degree seeking program under the supervision of an art instructor. They cannot be a board member, an immediate family member, a staff member, or under contract with Rasmuson Foundation. We will also not accept or consider any artwork that's completed while enrolled in art degree seeking program. Any work or projects that are academic or scholarly in nature, any emergency or needs-based approaches, this is not a need-based grant for financial strains, or work, as we mentioned before, that is client-driven or under the direction of a contract with a client firm, government agency, school, business, or the like. We've also gotten a few questions about if you've received an award in the past. So some rules related to that is you must have waited 3 years before applying again. If you received the award in 2022, you are eligible to apply. If you received it in 2023, you must wait until 2026. And in relation to that, we also will not accept any work samples from past successful IA applications. And if you have any overdue reports, we also ask that those are all submitted before applying again. Right. Groups or collaboratives. So groups or collaboratives can apply for both project and fellowship and are encouraged to apply. We do ask that one primary applicant who applies and represents on behalf of a group, the group must agree internally on this person. The primary applicant and all group members must meet all the eligibility requirements that we've stated above. And we will also not accept duplicative applicants. So if you're applying on behalf of a group, you also cannot apply as an individual and vice versa. Cultural content review. The foundation works with a cultural content expert as part of the application review process. Cultural appropriation is the unacknowledged or inappropriate adoption of the customs, practices, ideas of one people or society by members of another, and typically more dominant people or society. If an artist's works includes or references cultural content, they must convey how they have partnered with a cultural group, practice, or region. Okay, and our selection process. So to stay neutral as a grant maker, we at the Rasmuson Foundation recruit a diverse and national panel of renowned artists and art professionals to review submissions and determine awards. Generally, the panelists are looking for project feasibility, strength of the proposed project, quality of work samples, artist statement and experience, realistic budget, and demonstrated success. In addition to these, we're also considering other factors such as artistic discipline, the career stage, potential for artistic growth, and quality and thoroughness of the application. So with all of that said, the project awards are now open. Before we shift over to the FAQs and the application overview, we'd like to share the timeline and key dates to be aware of. First off, as you said, project awards are now open. They opened on Monday, April 7th, and the deadline for applications is Monday, June 9th by 11:59 Alaska time. We plan on notifying awards in fall of this year, with the grant period being calendar year 2026, January 1 to December 31st. And the fellowship award will open sometime in 2026. So make sure you stay tuned to our newsletter for those updates. So a couple of FAQs I'd like to address. Can I apply for more than one award type? No, we'll only accept one application per award. I received an award in the past. Can I apply again? As we've mentioned, yes, but you must wait 3 years before applying. Is an individual artist award taxable? Yes. We do ask and recommend that you consult with your CPA. We at the foundation are not tax professionals, so if you have any questions related to that, to speak to a CPA. What is my career stage? So we have the definitions for each career stage in the guidelines, but generally emerging artists are in the early stages of their professional careers, regardless of their age, and in the process of developing their practice and gaining recognition in their discipline. Mid-career artists are further along in their careers and have shared, exhibited, produced, or presented several bodies and portfolios of work. And mature artists are seasoned in their craft and have decades of experience in their field. So we allow you to decide and define which career stage you're in. How do I know which program to apply for now that the program is happening in different phases? We do ask that you be mindful of selecting the program that fits your needs at the time of application, given the cadence of this grant program. Again, if you have questions about this, you're more than welcome to ask us in via email or office hours. What types of projects are eligible? The project award is intended for short-term one-year projects that have a clear benefit to the artist and their development. When will I know of a decision? We hope to have the decisions made by fall 2025. And I have questions or need assistance on my application. Who do I contact? You can always email us at arts@rasmussen.org or book time with us. We have a lot of time in the next month or so. And here are your resources for support. As I said, you can always email us at arts@rasmussen.org. You can call the foundation during our regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. And office hours are a really great time to just talk about your project with someone, see if it aligns, if you have any questions about the guidelines and things like that. Awesome. And here's our wonderful team. Okay, and before we head into the second part of our presentation, I would love to share a video from a past recipient, from Kristin Link, just so you have an idea of how the project award impacted her career. Kristin Link is a fine artist and illustrator based in McCarthy who received the project award last year.
Hello, my name is Kristin Link. I'm a visual artist, science illustrator, and educator living in McCarthy, Alaska. I received a project award in 2023 to work on my field sketching work. My work as an artist and educator is deeply based in nature, and having time for direct observation, field sketching, and nature journaling is integral to what I do. For my project, I was able to spend focused time on this body of work. I did an artist residency at Tulloch Field Station. I helped to contribute to Thinking Made Visible, an exhibit at the Museum of the North at UAF in Fairbanks. And I compiled my manuscript for my forthcoming book, Discovering the Art of Field Sketching, that will be published by Timber Press in 2026. When I applied for this project, I knew I had a number of career milestone opportunities, and getting funding to support this work meant that I could commit to it on a deeper level. It was really scary to sit down and write a book, especially as someone who usually focuses on visuals. But the support from this project award really helped me, knowing that others believed that I could do it and to have funding to support my time. I received a project award in 2012, which helped me establish myself as an emerging artist in Alaska. Between 2012 and 2023, I applied for an individual artist award 7 other times and had my applications declined. For me, it was always worth it to sit down and think about what I really wanted to do, what my dream project would be, and how I would make it happen, even if I didn't get funding for it. Some years the judging panel didn't really seem to understand my application, but that was a good learning experience because I just learned that I needed to do a better job explaining myself and my goals. I think a successful application has strong work samples that are presented well. Those work samples are supported by the narrative, project description, and goals of the project. All of those things need to work together to tell a story. I recommend opting in to panelist comments and paying attention to any remarks on past applications. Ask for help if you aren't sure about something. Rasmuson Foundation has excellent staff and support that can help you through the process, and I've reached out to them with questions throughout my years of applying. My advice to you is to dream big and think about what you most want. Even if your application isn't funded, you never know who will read it and what kind of opportunities putting it down on paper will lead to. I'm so excited to see what you create next.
Awesome. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Maura Wharton, who will walk us through the application.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hopefully you guys are seeing, this is the Rasmussen website, Individual Artist Awards webpage. So we have a link to apply, artist resources, the overview and guidelines. You can email us directly and you can book time with us. I'm going to click on that just to show you guys what that looks like. So if you want to book time to talk about your application or ask a specific question, you can click here and then it'll pull up loading slowly. Here we go. It'll pull up some time. Looks like some times have already been booked out for this week, but there's lots coming later this week and next week. And this is how you can set a meeting with us. And then I'm going to go back. Here's the main page. There are more about project awards. You can click into some of these frequently asked questions and get detailed information. All right, I'll let you explore that, but for now, we are going to go back to the main page and we're going to apply for a project award. So this is taking us directly to our grants management platform. My internet is not loving that we are all on here together. Give me 1 second. Okay. Let's try from here. Here we go. All right, we're in. So you just log in and then this little tab that says funding opportunities, you click here. And then we're going to go to the IAA project award application. The first page is all about eligibility. It will ask you, even if you're applying for as a group, everyone in the group needs to be able to answer yes to these eligibility requirements. So read through them. I know Cheryl gave an overview during the presentation. And then you click yes if everything checks. And then you hit begin application. So I'm going to just pretend and do a mock application, and we're going to walk through it together. And as we're going through this, if you have any questions, please take note and then follow up with us. And we would be more than happy to talk with you individually. So we're going to check eligibility. Yes. All right. Now, I'm actually going to apply as a group. I'm going to do a music group example, but I'm the primary applicant. You can always hit save draft and come back to it later, anytime. So I'm going to hit save draft, and then the next thing is we'll hit this little next button, and I'm going to pretend that I'm applying for a group. The applicant name is your name as the primary applicant. I'll put in my name. And then I'm going to use some notes that I made. Here we go. So you'll just kind of, and this is all your information as the primary applicant. And it will give you a minute. It'll give you time later to do the all of each person in your group. You'll have to add them in here. So let's go through this initial step. All right. So I'm gonna so this would be, you'll have to put in the career stage for each person. So let me just show you here. You can always hit save draft. So let me just double check. Yes, that worked. So I'm going to do music, music composition, and then for music, you have to indicate if this is original work or if you are performing a performance in theater, already, doing work that's already been composed. So original work. And I'm going to say, yes, I've applied before, but I didn't receive an award. Okay, so now we're into the group information. I'm just going to double check the chat here. Is everything going okay? Everyone's doing all right? You guys are following along? Okay, great. Yes, please note these comments that the rest of the group is making. So here we go. We're going to put in, I'm just making up this group name. And I'm going to say there's 3 of us. And then you'll have to put in each group member's information. So you'll have to put in your last name, first name, email, phone number. I'm going to do that really quick. Sorry, a little bit tedious here, but I will put in some information for my group members. So you'll want to make sure you have everyone's info before you get started on your application, or you can always hit save draft and come back to this. So I'm going to say Lisa is mid-career, and you can have different career stages for each person in your group. So clicking, almost done with this part. All right. So Now we have our group members in. And these little pop-ups, once you hit close on them, the information saves into the application. That's save draft. Okay. Now, our full group is 3 members. And our project that I'm applying for is a debut album. So this is where you would put in some information about your project. It doesn't have to be long. This is kind of an overview moment. And then these narrative questions are where you put in more content about your project. So I'm going to put in some project goals about creating this album. And we're also going to have a debut album release show as part of this project. And then this is where you can put in your timeline of throughout the year, each kind of step of your project. And this can be really high level. I've kind of created some goals throughout the year, sort of quarterly. And this doesn't have to be super detailed. It's just giving kind of a timeline of how you'll be accomplishing your project throughout the year. All right. And then this is, I'm going to be speaking, as an individual, this would look a little different, but because I'm doing this as a group for a band, I made some notes about growth for our band, artistic growth. And we just add something about work, how this will advance your work. Anything else you want the panel to know? All right, now we're into project budget. So the most important thing about this project budget is that it must equal 10,000 because we don't give awards for lesser amounts. So you want to make sure your project budget is equal to 10,000. So I made some notes, just kind of, I'm making this up as I go here, but we're going to be recording an album. So I'm putting in fees for the studio and some new equipment to do this recording. We're going to have a launch of the album, and we want to share that information. So I'm going to do some marketing, and then we're going to have the concert. So I want to share that information. We need to make sure we are budgeting for the performance and booking that. We're going to travel to the gig. And this can look very different for obviously all of these different projects, but we did want to add in here, please, put in your fees as an artist for your time. And let's see, I didn't make it to 10,000, so I'm just gonna put in a little bit more here for recording. Oh no, it just hasn't added up. Let's see. There we go. Okay, and you're happy to talk with you more about creating your budget. We did put in just for some help here, there's a project budget sample. You can click on that and open it to give yourself some ideas. All right, and I should have been clicking on all of these, but throughout the application there are some different things you can click on to get more information about what we're asking for the residency verification. Anyway, now let's hit save draft. Okay. All right, everyone doing okay? All right, so let's get into, these are the uploads, artist statement, resume, and work samples. We do have information on our website, on the webpage for Project Awards about how to create your artist statement and your resume. It's going to vary depending on your practice and also if you're doing it as a group or as an individual. So I won't go into too much depth about that, but here's how you upload it. So it'll just save right there, just double check. And then I have a resume. I'm doing it for a band. So we have our band resume. Great. Okay, now the work samples will also vary depending on your practice. So I'm doing audio, video, media. You have a choice. You can upload. I'm gonna click on that to just show you. Here are all the different file types. You can upload, you can browse, you can, drag like I did with these other things, the PDFs, or you can browse from your computer. I actually have links to some YouTubes. You also can do both. You can have 2 uploads and then some links that you're adding. Let's see here. So I'm going to do it as a set of links. From YouTube. Just make sure if you're using YouTube as your platform that these are not set to private. And then you can give a title to each upload, year, medium, and then you can give a description. It's really helpful if you aren't able to give some information about maybe who is performing on this track. I'll say Lisa solo or really helpful to just have all of this ready and kind of compiled when you are working on your application so that, copy paste. And you can also hit save draft and come back if you need more time. So let's say I did 2 uploads or 2 links. You can also drop files or browse. There's information about the different types of uploads also on the website under the guidelines and what is needed for each. Whether if you're doing a literary submission, that's going to be a different type of work sample requirement. So just pay attention to that. I can do up to 4 in here, but I'm not going to keep boring you with that copying and pasting. And when you're finally done, you can review your application and then you can hit submit your application. I'm going to hit stop share and we'll go back to the main group here. Hi, everyone. Looks like there's a lot of good comments that were left in the chat about how to double check the guidelines and looking into the artist resources page. Were there any other things you wanted to add, Cheryl, about that?
No, thank you so much for going through that. Obviously, that was a very abbreviated version of submitting an application, but just to give you all an idea of what the application looks like, there are some resources as Mara showed on residency verification, career stages, so that way you kind of have a cheat sheet. But definitely recommend, we said in the chat, and Mara mentioned too, to look through the questions first, draft up your responses so you don't have to do it all in one sitting. There is an option to save draft. But it's always good to, take some time to thoughtfully work on your application. And we please recommend do not, wait until the last minute to submit. So I think that is it. Hopefully you've all found this information helpful. We have our office hours open and our email, so please reach out to us if you have any other questions. And again, we thank you all for attending today.